Now, I won't go into all of this. Astrology. What is it that you're trying to do? You're trying to look at the positions of the planet and make certain predictions, right? I want you to understand, most of the time, people who make good predictions are people who, tell you about the past very clearly, or some people tell you tomorrow what's going to happen very clearly. They're not doing it looking at the planets, they're doing it looking at you. A certain intuitiveness is there in a certain person, he says. Instead of teaching this yoga, if I sit in Chennai and just predict people's future, I will tell you in the next 10 years exactly what will happen in your life. Within 3 days, I will have a reputation that half the Chennai will be standing in queue. Very easily I can do that. But in the yoga center also there are people who have been into so much sadhana, they can do such things. If they ever do such things, I will finish them. We won't let them go on with that nonsense. We'll immediately chuck them out of the place. Because by predicting somebody's future, you don't alter the quality of his life in any way. You don't bring any kind of true well-being. It is just, you're getting him into more and more ignorance, isn't it? Now if you have the power to know your tomorrow, you will only become more ignorant, more egoistic, more stupid, more harmful. You go by the normal rules, it's okay, you don't have to know what's tomorrow. You are made like this right now, the quality of your life and your own way of being is such, if you know tomorrow today, you will not participate in today, isn't it? Yes or no? Suppose I tell you, whatever you do, you're not going to die, you will do irresponsible things in the world. Or if I tell you tomorrow morning anyway you will die, now you won't participate in today, isn't it? So, you should not know the future. It's not necessary for you to know the future. Can somebody predict? Yes, sometimes, but that's not 100%. It's never 100%. Every object has a certain influence on you. See, right now this vessel, because of its shape and its material, it has a certain influence. It has a certain vibration emanating from it. If I allow this vessel to influence me, I keep him next to me because he's quite a good friend. I'm not keeping a plastic pot because I don't like the things that he says. I keep this one because, he's saying pleasant things. I am always in good company, please see. But now if I allow this vessel to influence me too much, slowly I will become like a vessel. This will happen to you. Many people have become like vessels, isn't it? Haven't they? They will let things influence them so deeply, they will become like that. No, I won't let this copper vessel to influence me. But being in my company, he is so influenced. You will see, you take another copper vessel, you give me anything. Right now you give me any object. Just give it to me for 20 seconds. I'll hold it in my hand and give it back to you. It will be different. If you're sensitive, you can feel it is distinctly different. So, the question is just this, will you allow objects to influence you or will you influence the objects? Something else. The planets definitely are large objects, so they have certain vibrations, they have some influences on everything around them. If they're close to this planet, yes. Do you know, on Paurnami and Amavasya days, full moon day and new moon day days, people who are little mentally disturbed or imbalanced become much more imbalanced? Yes? Even the ocean is going crazy, isn't it? Do you all go crazy? Twice a month? Some of you are not saying anything. Twice a month if you're going crazy, you would have absorbed. Anyway, please ask your family, they will tell you. Now, compared to that person who has an imbalanced mind, you are much more stable, much more established. Wherever the moon goes, you don't go crazy. If you're much more established, wherever any planet goes, you don't go crazy, that's all. The purpose of your life, the destiny of your life is fixed by you and nothing else but you. Yes, everything has an influence, but what you make out of that influence is still yours, isn't it? But if you're going to be pushed around by inanimate objects, yes, you can be pushed around. To that extent it is true. I am saying, when the divine is functioning within you, when the creator is functioning within you, why are you allowing inanimate things to influence your life? If you allow this dimension to flower in you, you will see life happens fantastic. Let the stars go anywhere, let the planets go anywhere, you will go only where you want to go. You want to go where you want to go? Or you want to be pushed around by inanimate objects? You must decide that. Now, they're writing it in horoscope and giving it to you how you're going to live. Please tell me, if there is an intelligent person in this room, can you predict what he will do the next moment? He may do something that nobody has ever done, isn't it? If there is a fool here, if you look at him, you can say, okay, this is how you will live. If they have to write it on paper and give you that this is the way you will live, what to do? That means you're refusing to use your intelligence, isn't it? Now, anything that you want to do, you want to look at the planets and stars. You want to step out of your house, the planets should align themselves properly. Yes? Right time, wrong time. Are you looking at all those things? Rahu kalam, guna kalam, whatever else. If you want to get married, you go and ask the third person, can I live happily with my wife? I think it's obscene. Whatever the kind of fool you marry, why can't you live well with her or with him? Whatever kind of idiot you're married to, once you've chosen to marry, why don't you live well with them? Or if they're showing some new kind of madness that you did not predict, why don't you leave them? Anyway, with all the predictions, horoscopes all matching well, still these two people nobody can match, isn't it? Any astrologer will match horoscopes for people, but can they match these two people? To what extent you're being responsible for the other, only to that extent your marriage works. Is it so? How responsibly you handle the other person, only to that extent it is working. Is that so? No. Personal development I'm talking. I understand. I'm talking about developing your life.
Like for example, you say that on a certain period of moon, like Amavasya or Purnima, the energies about
Yes, I'll come to that. Now, see, every shape, every form has a certain impact upon you. Now this vessel is sitting next to me, it is emanating its own kind of vibrations. Every object is doing it. But now it's up to me whether I allow this vessel to influence me or I influence this vessel. That's left to me. Which way should it be? Which way should it be? This vessel should influence my life or I should influence its existence? Human nature should do that, isn't it? Now, all these stars and planets, they're inanimate things, aren't they? Rock and stone, isn't it? Rock and mud, isn't it so? Inanimate. Now, should inanimate things rule the destiny of your life, or human nature should rule the destiny of inanimate things? Which way should it be? Human nature should, if you have realized the potential of what it means to be this. Otherwise, inanimate things will rule you. Now Paurnami comes, full moon day. Do you know, during full moon days and new moon days, people who are little mentally disturbed go hyper on those days? Are you aware of this? Do you all go crazy on new moon days? Huh? Do you? No. Compared to them, you are a little more stable. Because of this, wherever the moon goes, you can carry on your normal process of life. But for them it is not like that. Because they're in a certain level of instability, if the moon comes up, they're going crazy. The moon disappears, they're going crazy. So, you are a little more stable, suddenly moon has no impact upon you. It is pulling up the whole ocean, but no impact upon you if you're a little stable. Similarly, if you stabilize yourself further, nothing has an impact upon you, but you impact everything. Human nature should decide the course and the destiny of all inanimate things, not the other way around, isn't it? If you allow yourself to be influenced, anything and everything is willing to influence you. But that's not the way you should exist. You must take the course of your destiny into your hands, and you should go through what is needed to empower yourself that way, rather than waiting for the stars and planets to fall into position. Many of the stars that you're looking at up in the sky, they don't even exist, do you know? Many of them have disappeared long ago. Because they're so far away, the light is still coming, slowly. Yes, light is coming very slowly. That is why for so long you're seeing. Actually, the stars have disappeared long ago, but you are making your calculations based on those stars. It is just that every object has an influence. Definitely, planetary positions have an influence. But whether you allow yourself to be influenced or not, that is in your hands. If you have realized your human nature, you should not allow all these planets to decide your life, isn't it? You must decide the quality of your life.
Hello, this is Shimona Chakravarti. Namaskaram, Sadhguru. Sadhguru, I want to know the truth about astrology. I mean, I know it is a science, but when one has to match horoscopes before a wedding, or a Manglik girl who is supposed to wed a tree first, before she marries the guy, or the fact that, one has to wear particular stones to help with various things in life. So what is the truth about it, and what is the reality of it all? I mean, because it is very confusing to our generation to understand, because either we rebel or succumb to parental pressure. So if you could help us understand the truth about it, it would be wonderful. Thank you so much. Pranam.
Namaskaram, Sumona. Well, I like this idea of marrying a tree. I'm married to trees, I think it's a good idea. Very stable partner, rooted. In today's life, getting somebody so rooted is a rare thing. It's really a great idea. And see, horoscopes are being matched. What it means is stars are being matched. But how do you match these two idiots? It's not possible, nobody can match these two idiots. Only if they take responsibility for each other, if they show some sense of involvement and invest their lives in each other, then something wonderful may happen. If you match them, doesn't matter how you match them, nothing is going to work out. This is why for most people, all love affairs and marriages are beautiful only for some time. After that, it is one big anxiety or non-stop friction, simply because people are trying to match each other. You cannot match people. No two human beings are same. It will not work that way. It is just that if you hold the other person's well-being above your own, then you will find everything works out. If your life is about extracting happiness from somebody else, you will see it will become bitter over a period of time. If your life is about sharing the joy that you are, then everything will work out. It doesn't matter what the stars say. Anyway, stars can speak what they want. Once you come here as a human being, you are supposed to create this life. This is the only creature on the planet who can structure its own life. If you want to give that up and allow inanimate things like planets and stars to decide the future of who you are, it's a tragic way to exist. So please, you and whoever else is influenced by you, please tell them to take their lives into their hands. It doesn't matter. And how silly is it that a third person that you do not know is going to tell you whether you will live happily or not with your husband or your wife? How vulgar is that? Take up this responsibility in your hand. It doesn't matter what kind of fool you marry. You take up the responsibility that you will live well, and that's the only way you will live well.